Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Alpha Flight number 34, our fifth comic containing Lady Deathstrike and her first appearances and what makes up her character and all that. We're just kind of going along with each issue and seeing what happens and just kind of examining the storyline and stuff that happens. She started in Daredevil 197 and through 199, and she really was not the same character. Although in this issue, it goes back and kind of explains some of the stuff that happened in those issues. We just went through Alpha Flight 33, and that's where she's in armor and she's confronting Wolverine because she thought that he stole the adamantium that her late father, had created the process of bonding adamantium to the bones of people. And so she wants her adamantium back, and she's confronted him, Wolverine, and Guardian slash Vindicator slash Heather Hudson in the woods. So it kind of doesn't pick up there, but before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own stuff. This is Random Access. It's a 12-page, full size. It's usually in color. I'm at black and white for now, but I think maybe in the next Cyrene, I'm going to start with the color again, because I really kind of enjoy seeing my stuff in color more than in black and white, which is kind of weird. But you can get these at patreon.com/Alex Turbin, or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and you can also find The Forlorn or Mutandis or Cyrene the Cleric, or all my other comics that I've done previously through my my art career. Or you could just message me at AlexTurbin04401 at Instagram. So yeah, let's get on to Lady Deathstrike and her fifth appearance, as she tries to steal what she thinks is rightfully hers. So the comic starts in Puck has gone to try to find Heather Hudson. She was looking for somebody to teach her how to use the Guardian armor, and all of Alpha Flight rejected her because they wanted to keep her safe. But Wolverine, she thought, would actually help her. So she went to find Wolverine, and there was a little brouhaha with her and the X-Men. And finally, Wolverine and her went off into the woods, and that's where they were confronted by Lady Deathstrike. But Puck, who's in love with Heather, he goes off and tries to find her. He takes their Omni ship, and which is, basically Alpha, the Avengers, Quinjet or whatever. It's your typical superhero super ship. So he takes that and he goes from Canada to the United States, and they're just talking. He's talking with the rest of Alpha Flight, and they're having their little banter and their arguments. Like, Alpha Flight has a lot of argumenting going on, and this is kind of where the first issue where I was like, hey, this is kind of a cool superhero team. Before that, I really kind of didn't think I was gonna like it very much. But anyway, it's the same team of Bill Mantlo, Sal Buscema, Gary Tulloch, and Janice Chang lettering. Sal Buscema, it says, does the storytelling, so I think he actually does a lot of the inking, and then Jerry, he maybe just does some of the extra stuff at the end. Maybe goes through the blacks or whatever. I don't really know. I kind of wish I did. But yeah, Alpha Flight's going through their banter. North Star and Aurora are having arguments because North Star is being a jerk, and he could have gone and helped Puck find what he was looking for and stuff, but he didn't. And he was just being a jerk about it. Box, you kind of learn a little bit more about his powers and how he's a crippled person, or he doesn't have legs. I don't think he's crippled. And so he's going out to. I guess he lives in Box, but if he stays in Box too long, then I don't know, something weird happens to him. So he comes out of the box. He transmutes, transforms, transportates. I don't know. he somehow he gets out of Box, and he's back in his wheelchair. I kind of think that Box turns into the wheelchair, possibly. I'm not entirely sure. But then he goes to the entrance of the mansion, because they live in a mansion. Of course, all superhero teams live in a mansion. To see a stranger in its snowbird being held by her husband, and she's gone crazy. And then she wants to find the shaman to help her, and the shaman is somewhere else. He's trying to kind of get over his own angst, and I guess his daughter almost died. He has a satchel or a sachet, some sort of bag anyway, that goes to another dimension. He can pull stuff out that he needs, but I guess it was destroyed or something. I'm not entirely sure. But he's gone off to have a vision quest with his grandfather, and he's just gone off into the plains and kind of trying to figure out what's going on. Then it zips back to Lady Deathstrike confronting Wolverine and Heather, and she's got all kinds of her ninja samurai assassins. And this is a whole lot of backstory and her talking about what she's been through and what's been going on and stuff. And really, before they start the fight and everything, she explains who she is, that she's the daughter of I can't remember his name now. The father that created the adamantium, Deathwind. Is that his name? Darkwind, Deathwind, something like that. Anyway, he created the adamantium process that bonded Wolverine's adamantium to his skeleton. And she's talking about how she knows him and how he is actually in love with Lady Mariko of Clan Nishida, which is very powerful. And even though she's probably going to have something to say about Lady Deathstrike taking the adamantium out of Wolverine's bones, she's going to do it anyway, because they throw the word honor around a lot, and whether or not she's honor bound, even though she hated her father, she's honor bound to kind of figure out what happened and to retrieve the stolen adamantium from her. So she's going to attack him, and she kind of at the end of this page, she's like, that's what she's going to do. She's going to take the adamantium from his lace bones. But then she actually has a memory or a flashback of when she was in Japan with Daredevil, and how she killed her father, and how she had a marking on her face, and also her love, Kira. I can't remember in the end. I don't think he killed himself at the end of Daredevil, but in the end, she's saying that he killed himself. He committed seppuku, and that made her run off. But she was still the leader of the clan, and so she had a lot of power and influence. And then she also goes and talks about how she needed to realize or kind of figure out who her father was. So she does a lot of research, and she just discusses how he was a fighter pilot in Japan, a famous one, and towards the end he volunteered to be one of the bombers that smashed into the warships, the American warships and stuff, the kamikazes. But it failed. His bombs didn't go off, so he was in prison, and that's where he even though he's tremendously scarred, he was such a presence. He could gather men together and lead them, and he was so intelligent. That's when he became Darkwind, and that's when he created the serum to create adamantium and lace it to people's bones. And that's when he did it to Bullseye. She was actually looking for Bullseye when she found Wolverine instead. And so I'm not sure, does Bullseye have an adamantium skeleton? I'm pretty sure he does, but I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up a little bit. If anybody knows, let me know in the comment section if there's any exact issues that talk about Bullseye and his adamantium. It's not his whole body. It's just his back, his Yeah, it's just his back. So his spine, yeah, his spinal cord is adamantium, which is kind of weird because um, the bones in your spine don't really break when you have back problems. It's more like the cartilage between the spine and all of the nerve endings. So that would be kind of a waste of time to have a adamantium skeleton or spine rather. But then Heather Hudson goes into this whole memory spiel about her husband and how he may have known exactly what was going on with Wolverine, and uh, he knew what was happening, and she's recollecting a time when she was going to have tea with him, and he automatically jumped up and like tried to keep her from seeing something that he didn't want her to see. And it was a report that the process of bonding adamantium to the human skeleton structure, a translation from Japanese. So it is very possible. It doesn't actually say that this is what happened, but it leads it tremendously to the possibility of that's what happened to Wolverine and his adamantium. So then it kind of flashes to the last issue of Wolverine, them being on their honeymoon, and Wolverine being in the woods and attacking them and stuff. And she really comes to the assumption or the realization that her husband, James Hudson, set this whole thing up, that he wanted them to encounter Wolverine, or for Wolverine to find them, and because it was all part of the experiment. So I don't think anywhere in the Weapon X or Wolverine issues, I don't think he ever mentions James Hudson. Or anything like that. If it does, I'm gonna have to reread all these, I guess, and see if it does. But I'm quite sure that it doesn't. But I'm gonna go through these at some point anyway with you guys. But so James Hudson's kind of a jerk, and he kind of made Wolverine what he is a little bit. We're still a little fuzzy on the exact timing and things that happened, but not completely. We're a lot less out of the dark, and really, this is kind of the first glimpses into Wolverine's history. Before, Wolverine was always like, I don't have a memory. I don't know what happened to me. I don't know how I got my adamantium, all of this other stuff. So this is really kind of the first glimpses of Wolverine's past, which is really fantastic. And in Alpha Flight, no less, not in the X-Men, it's kind of really bizarre that they didn't have Claremont write this and have it be part of a bigger X-Men storyline, because it's so integral in the Wolverine mythology and the Wolverine history and stuff. But then we go back to Lady Deathstrike talking to Wolverine, and she's ready to pounce. She's ready to cut his bones out of his skin and reclaim them adamantium and kill him. Heather rushes in. She starts throwing bolts of electromagnetic power, and the samurai start crashing in, and they want to kill Wolverine and attack Wolverine and stuff, but he's just so fast and badass. She does say that he retracts his claws just in the last minute so that he won't actually kill anybody, but that's a little bit weird. I guess, I mean, not early Marvel, but Marvel in the 80s, you kind of had to do that. Today he would have hacked and slashed all of these samurai to bit. Just go see the Deadpool Wolverine movie and you'll see lots of that going on, which is pretty fantastic. He tells Heather that they are better off running because they don't want to hurt the samurai and Lady Deathstrike. So he tells Guardian to take off, but he kind of realizes that he's not going to get away from them. So he kind of lures all of the samurai in. He starts hacking and slashing the samurai. And I think it's not really said here, but I think he kills a few of them. But I think you're just supposed to infer that. Heather realizes that Wolverine is trying to protect her, so she comes back and starts throwing more bolts of electromagnetic power at the bad guys. And there's really some fantastic fight scenes. But he kind of mows down all of the samurai, and finally it's Lady Deathstrike and Wolverine. But from above, Guardian is just kind of taking taking care of more of the samurai. They're throwing shuriken and all of these different weapons at her, and she just smashes stuff. She's like super powerful. I don't think she realized that how powerful the suit is, and because she's been looking for someone to teach her how to fight. But who needs to fight when you can do this to a tree? That's a really fantastic panel. I really love that. So then it goes back to Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike fighting, and so this is really the first time that they go blow to blow. Like the previous issue, 33, because this is 34. They were just getting ready to fight. They weren't actually there fighting yet. They were just all talk. This is all fighting and all battles, and they're just like attacking each other and stuff. She's got this super souped up samurai sword with electromagnetic power. They throw that word around. It really doesn't mean a whole lot when you don't explain it properly. But it's super hard like adamantium, but not quite. And then Wolverine's just talking about in his head about how it'd be honorable because she keeps calling him a thief, but he says that it would be honorable for him to kill her, but that's not how the X-Men are anymore, and that's not how he is anymore, because he wants to be one of them. Then Puck, silly old Puck, comes flying in with the Omnijet, and he's got his sights on her sword, her electromagnetic powered sword, and so he comes zooming in and he smashes Wolverine in the head with his Omnijet, and she takes it out with her sword, and so Puck just kind of goes flying. His jet goes flying off into the woods, and he ejects in the last minute. Guardian comes upon them fighting. She has dispatched all of the samurai and smashes into Lady Deathstrike. She says she's got a super awesome armor. It's not adamantium, but it's pretty darn close, I guess. She's like, how great is your armor? Let's test it against my sword. And Wolverine's all scared because he doesn't think that it can withstand Lady Deathstrike's sword. And Puck is like all scared for her too. So it's really a culmination of the story of her being able to protect herself and these people that she loves in their life, not believing that she can protect herself. So they're racing after her to try to stop this from happening. And when Lady Deathstrike does strike Vindicator, because a few pages ago she decided that she didn't like Guardian, she didn't like any of the other names, Weapon Alpha or anything like that. She liked Vindicator. So that's when she decides that she's going to be called Vindicator. And so Lady Deathstrike's sword smashes against the armor, and Wolverine and Puck are a little incredulous. They really can't believe it, and they're like, well, I guess James made better stuff than Lord Darkwind. And Heather says he always did. So I mean, she knows that they knew each other. There's a history there, and she knew that her armor was going to withstand the sword. And she's like, "Do you guys think I still need protection?" And then it goes to this Nemorita kind of storyline. It kind of ends here. I don't think 35 actually has Wolverine in it, other than maybe to say goodbye or whatever. So this is like the main crux of the whole Lady Deathstrike story, because when I looked up where Lady Deathstrike had been shown, it came up with 33 and 34. I don't think it didn't come up with 35. If you guys know differently, let me know, because I'm not sure I have 35. So there's some kind of attunement and stuff like that. So that's how Alpha Flight 34 ends, and that is the fifth appearance of Lady Deathstrike, and it really kind of solidifies her characterization of from then on. Her whole meaning in life was to steal Wolverine's adamantium and to reclaim the honor of her clan and all of that kind of stuff. And really that just leads into X-Men 205, which is what we're going to look into next, which is what I'm really excited for. I'm going to look and see she's actually in a few Wolverine issues, and I might have those, and we might kind of skim through those, but probably not, because I don't think there's anything really of value there. The art, I'm I'm liking 35. I mean 34 better than 33 actually art wise. But I mean, at first, let's look at this cover. This cover is beautiful. I remember seeing the cover for 33, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, there's lots of shadows and shading and stuff like that, and that's really fantastic, and I love it. But the action of Wolverine and Vindicator fighting Samurai and Lady Deathstrike is just friggin' amazing. It's one of the best covers I think Mignola has ever done. Sure, this is great, and a lot of his other stuff is really fantastic. But this is probably one of my favorite covers of his. Especially it's got that stark white, and which makes this really hard to get into a higher grade. I think 33 is more valuable than 34, but I think you need both of them really because this is like the first appearance of Lady Deathstrike in her armor. And this is like just has a lot of other stuff and it explains a lot of stuff in 33, but it kind of goes more in depth in 34. So I kind of think that these go together in a way that you have to have 33 and 34. It's kind of like Days of Future Past. I think it's 142 and 143. You need both of them. You can't just have one and not have the other because it's like they're one book. So yeah, I really like the artwork inside a little bit better. Sal Buscema is inking his own stuff, I think, for the most part, and I like it a lot better actually. Really like the fight scenes. It's still classic Marvel stuff. They could have done a lot better. I'm always talking about how you want different sizes of characters and stuff. Like you want headshots and fish shots and different panel sizes. Like this could have been bigger, and there could have been a lot more variety. There's got to be a lot of variety in fight scenes. They talk about talking heads, where it's just a head talking to a head, talking to a head, talking to a head, and you have to avoid that when you're doing your comics. It's kind of the same thing with fight scenes. You really kind of want to just avoid just, a sidewards punch, a sidewards kick. You really need to change things up as much as you can so it doesn't get boring. So yeah, Alpha Flight 33 and 34. If I was going to give this, I can't remember the grade I gave this. I'm going to give this a higher grade though. I'm giving this a 8.5, 9. I'm going to give this a 9. No, I can't give it a 9. No, I can't give it a 9. I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give this an 8. I don't know what I gave this. I think I gave it an 8 too. Which I don't really know if I graded it at all, but I think I probably did. But anyway, so that is the next installment of Lady Deathstrike and her adventures into trying to kill Wolverine and steal his adamantium. It kind of is a dissection or a different direction than when she was in Japan with Daredevil, but that's totally fine. It's almost a completely new character. She's a lot more aggressive in these two than in Daredevil. She was although she did kill her father, so there is that. But yeah, if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and if you have both of these or either of these, let me know what you thought of them, and let's both gush about these awesome Mike Mignola covers because they are amazing. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.